Wake up, sleeper. Rise from the dead, and Christ will shine on you. Welcome to the 40 days of Lent and to this 6-week journey to the cross. I've written a field guide to the 40 days. I'm calling it Jesus Asking, the 3 transformational questions of Lent. And over these next 6 weeks, I'll be meeting together with you for a weekly Q&A. Only I won't be asking the questions. Jesus will. Remember? Jesus Asking. Maybe we'll be together in a Sunday school class, or perhaps a midweek devotion at church, or in a home group, or maybe somehow you've happened across these short video sessions and it's just the 2 of us. Whatever the case, I'm inviting you to be open to asking deeper and better questions. In fact, the pathway to deeper answers is not in trying harder to find better answers, but digging deeper to ask better questions. Jesus Asking. Get it? It's kind of like that little sheepish comment we often make when we have a burning question we don't really want to ask someone because it's about ourselves and because we don't want to risk the embarrassment of even asking it. We say something like asking for a friend, like maybe asking for a friend. Is it possible to get a restraining order against a cat? There's actually a word for that. It's prosopopia. But that's not what this journey is about. It's not about me asking you a question for Jesus. It's about Jesus asking you a question for yourself. Jesus did ask a lot of questions. By one count, across all 4 Gospels, and this doesn't count redundancies, Jesus asked 304 distinct questions. Interestingly, people only asked Jesus 183 distinct questions across those same 4 Gospels. And most interestingly, Jesus only answered 3 of those questions directly. You know, we kind of grow up in life and in faith thinking the most important thing is having the right answers. Life is all about the answer. And of course, anyone who's ever been to children's Sunday school class knows that when in doubt, the answer is always what? Jesus. But what if that's actually backwards? What if the most important thing is asking the right questions? What if the question matters more than even the answer? And what if Jesus is actually the question? It's why we're going on this journey together. We're calling it Jesus Asking, to let Jesus ask the questions. And now permit me to manage your expectations a bit. The subtitle of the book is The 3 Transformational Questions of Lent. I know already you're dying to know, what are those 3 questions? Well, you'll have to be patient. It'll take us a minute to get them, like 3 weeks or so. And spoiler alert, they happen respectively on days 25, 33, and 40. And I do encourage you to not look ahead. The setup is important. In fact, the 3 questions are not even questions Jesus asked, but questions concerning Jesus I learned from my chief mentor, Maxie Dunham, years ago. Be sure to read the foreword he wrote for the book, which gives the backstory. For now, settle in for the journey, trust the process. But so we're not going to close out this week 1 without a question. We're going to begin our journey with a question that cuts to the very heart and core of our relationship with Jesus and consequently with ourselves. I call it the question of all questions. A few years back, I taught my first ever confirmation class at the Gillette Methodist Church in Gillette, Arkansas. There were 5 young women and 1 young man, ranging in age from 12 to 15. Confirmation class, for those who don't know, is a kind of rite of passage for young people, most of whom were baptized as babies. It's where they're led through a process whose goal is for them at the end to claim or confirm their faith in Jesus as their own faith and not just their parents' faith for them. Now, there's lots of confirmation class curriculums out there. Many of them are great, but I determined that I was going to simplify. I was only going to have one goal. We were going to raise a banner over everything we did in the class with these words of the question of all questions emblazoned on it. So the question of all questions comes on the day when Jesus walked with his disciples through the religious carnival of Caesarea Philippi. It was a place of many gods. In fact, it was located just in front of a cave, which was known to the world at the time as the gates of hell. He started with what we'll call the question before the question of all questions. Who do people say that I am? Like, what does your mother say that I am? Or who does your father say that I am? Or who do your friends say? Or what do world leaders say that I am? That list could go on. And those disciples had their answers, just like we in our time have our answers. And in one fell swoop, as if to say what other people say has no bearing on anything, Jesus popped the question of all questions. It turns out to be the starting line of the Christian life and faith, and it will also be the finish line. And the secret of the Christian life is to be continuously revisiting the question of all questions all along the way. The answer wills to deepen from a Sunday school answer or even a confirmation class answer to become the fire in our bones answer. So are you ready for it? The question of all questions? Jesus asking, who do you say that I am? Not what do you say about me? Not did you read my about section on the website? Who do you say that I am? Here's how I like to ask it. Jesus asking, who am I to you? Who am I to you? I gave each member of my first ever confirmation class at the Gillette Methodist Church a brand new, shiny, black moleskin journal. I asked them to open the book to the inside front cover and with a bold marker to write down the question of all questions with their name as the first word, like John David, comma, who do you say that I am? You know, in the early days of the church, what the 40 days of Lent actually were about, they were an adult confirmation class. They were preparation for baptism. And so, how about we all enter into this with this idea? This is an adult confirmation class. On the inside cover of your journal or your Jesus Asking Lent reader, with a bold marker, would you write your name, followed by a comma, and then these words? Who do you say that I am? Would you do that? Would you dive into this season with not a passion for finding the right answers, but a commitment to asking the deeper question? Maybe this question has come to you before. I'm sure it probably has. We've all probably walked through the days of Lent before, making that journey to the cross. But none of us have walked it this time. Who do you say that I am? Who are you to me? Jesus is asking. I want to encourage you just to take some time and journal a bit. Just begin to say now, right now, this season of my life, who are you, Jesus, to me? Have I caused for you to revolve around my life? Or am I seeking now to revolve my life around your life? That's what this journey to the cross is all about. A deeper walk, a truer relationship, a movement from information to revelation, from knowledge to knowing. It's going to be good. We'll call that a wrap for today. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you on the field.